Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Laps Down podcast. My name is MJ. Just kidding.
Oh, no.
Just kidding. My name's Andrea. Do you want to say hi, MJ?
Hi, MJ.
It's so good. Well, we have a special guest today, just like we promised last week, and I can pass it over to them to introduce themselves, but it's my favorite podcasters.
Oh my gosh.
Go for it.
Such a big honor.
Do you want to go first?
My name is Gracie, and I'm half of the Podium Pop podcast.
And my name is Celine, and I am the other half of that Podium Pop podcast.
That's good. That's good. They have it down. They're profesh. We should start taking
We'll work on
MJ.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are
We'll
great.
work on it. Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're new to the podium or to the podcasting game, but Podium Pop has been around for a year?
Almost.
2?
Yeah, it'll be a year in January.
Almost.
Yeah.
Okay. And you guys started with F1 stuff, but you guys do a good amount of IndyCar stuff because of your adventures and your travels. Are you guys like officially calling yourselves an F1 and IndyCar podcast now?
So our logo still says Formula One podcast.
Yeah.
But we do call ourselves a motorsport podcast.
Yeah.
Period.
Although,
we
don't cover NASCAR like you all do.
Oh, you guys are...
Yeah,
you guys
we'll
know
get
a
to
lot
that. We'll get to that.
Which,
We're working on it.
So I thought we could just like, for the people that are listening to us and don't listen to you, I think that that's a small amount of our audience because I think we have a good it's a Venn diagram and there's a good amount of folks in the middle. But I have been wondering which between the two of you got into motorsport first.
Okay, technically speaking, I did begin my motorsport journey, I think at like 10 or so, with NASCAR.
Okay. Oh, okay, so what are we doing here?
I know. Growing up, my dad was a big NASCAR fan, and I would always watch it with him. And so I started with NASCAR. My favorite was Denny Hamlin. I have not...
Why have you never started with that? Oh my God.
I'll send over a picture of me in the Denny Hamlin cardboard cutout at the Kentucky Speedway. I do have that picture.
Oh my God.
I think I was like...
Well, this is actually a Denny Hamlin podcast, so this is perfect.
I love him. And then I think I got to like high school a little bit, and I was like, I'm not watching that anymore. Like, I'm too cool. And then that's where Celine comes in.
yeah, so I started watching motorsport with Formula One. I was a Drive to Survive girly. I started it was actually like literally the week of my 25th birthday. So it was 2022. I forgot my age the other day.
Hey, fair enough. We're all rocking with that.
Yeah, August of 2022, and I watched all of Drive to Survive. Like literally, like I binge watched it in like a week, and then which for me is pretty impressive because I don't watch a lot of TV. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta watch the next race. But we were on summer break, so I had to wait a little bit. And then I started watching the races, and it was a lonely, almost full year of being the only Formula One fan that I knew of personally. Mm-hmm. So I had no one to talk to about it. I tried to get Gracie to watch it many, many times. Yep. I sent her so many TikTok edits trying to get her interested. And then eventually she got back into it in like August, around a year later, August of 2023.
Yeah.
Okay. And then did you guys, so we always joke, MJ initially, right, you were a Lando fan when you first started watching F1. Mm-hmm. And then there was a metamorphosis into a Logan Sargent fan, in which you have just stuck with, even beyond his career, which is so admirable. Do you guys have, like, people that you started off as fans of that have changed since then?
Oh, for sure. So whenever I was watching Drive to Survive, which I still like him, but I loved Max Verstappen. Like, I was a Red Bull girly. I had my very first Peach. My very first piece.
Are you thinking about his ass? Be for real.
A lot of photos circulating the internet this week about his ass. No, my first piece of F1 merch that I owned, not official merch because I got it off Etsy, but it was a Max Verstappen sweatshirt.
Okay.
And while I do like him now, I definitely wouldn't consider myself like a Red Bull fan.
Okay. Do you think that you're the only person that watched Drive to Survive and came out of that a Max fan?
I think she was.
So, and I don't know why I liked him so much, because in Drive to Survive, he very much so is like portrayed as the villain. But
they're wild about it. They're like, this guy basically like killed Daniel Ricciardo's dog.
Yeah.
Like, he's the worst person ever.
Which is crazy because I was also a Daniel Ricciardo fan from Drive to Survive, like everybody else. But like, I don't know, I just really loved Max. And it was even like,
I love that.
From like the very first season I watched, like before it was super, he was like talked about, but he was like, again, talked about as like this like
A villain.
Young kid, doesn't know what he's doing. And I don't know, maybe I related to him.
So now who are we rocking? So I know like your IndyCar fave driver, but I don't know if I'm like 100% for certain on like the F1 of it all.
Well,
oh my God, who's this diva behind you? She is like having such a moment.
It literally tries to steal the spotlight when we are filming anything. She's trying to get into our business. But
for the audio listeners, there's like a really diva cat in the background who's just like really messing with the set, and I love her.
Yeah,
anyways,
well, we both like McLaren.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 100%.
Do you guys like ride for Lando and Oscar equally, or do we have a favorite child?
Gracie definitely has a favorite child.
I would say I'm like 60-40, like 60 being Lando.
I would say
Okay.
I'm 50-50.
Yeah.
Although sometimes I do feel the need to be a little bit more on Oscar's side because I have to balance out Gracie.
Oh, that's so fair.
Yeah.
Co-parenting is so important.
No, it's so important.
We want to make sure that they are both feeling like they're getting
tended to and loved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I also say that as I'm wearing a Haas hat too, which I like Haas as well, but
never let them guess your next move.
I
you know
wore
what I
the
mean?
Haas hat mainly because of MJ.
So this is like me and MJ. Thank you for being respectful of MJ. You know what I mean? Like the Logan Sargent thing is still a little touchy. Also, by the way, for our audio listeners, if you're wondering why MJ is just a little quiet, do you want to give a little sample of your voice today, MJ?
Yeah, so I accidentally lost my voice, which
Ooh,
isn't
that's gonna...
ideal for a podcast. So I'm just trying to protect the listeners, and I'll be quiet. I'm nodding a lot. I'm doing my best.
ASMR people, like, I feel like this little rasp is gonna hit. You know what I mean? So it'll be good.
That's insane.
So me and MJ have a list of dream podcast guests that we will never share. But just know moves are being made in silence at all times on this guest list. Who's the Podium Pop dream guest?
I have mine. I was actually thinking about it today.
Okay, go ahead.
Mine is, gosh, I'm forgetting her last name, but Georgia, the IndyCar presenter. We like
also does NASCAR too, right, MJ?
Oh, I love that. I did not know that. We like bumped into
I think it's just because like
go ahead.
I think it's just because like NBC, whatever.
NBC.
Under the same branch.
Yeah.
We bumped into her at the Nashville race, like so briefly. We were like, "Hi," we got a picture with her, and we're like, "Oh yeah," like tried to throw in, like, "Have a podcast," and she was like, "Oh, reach out to me anytime." So that's just like,
and we did it.
Okay,
we should.
Yeah, if you're listening, Georgia, you'd be so welcomed on the Podium Pop podcast. You should definitely do it. She has a cunty pair of headphones that she wears on track.
Yeah, she does.
Those headphones.
Yeah, it has like the little antenna.
Yeah,
we should implement those in our headphones. MJ,
an antenna for what do you think the antenna would be for? Vibes.
Just looks.
You'll get our frequency.
Right, yeah. Just see what's happening on the radio waves. Okay, so Georgia, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
On both sides of the Podium Pop? Okay.
I think so.
I didn't know if there was like internal fighting about it.
That's our actually I disagree. I think that's like our like first, like obviously like dream like would be like, let's get like Max Verstappen on there. Like that's like insane dream, you know? But I think like I wouldn't call that attainable. But like not like attainable as in like I don't want to come off like cocky, be like we can get Georgia on here, but like that would be like our first goal, our first dream guess, and then from there I think it would continue.
I would say we have some wild things on our guest list. You know what I mean? Like not all of them are obtainable. You know what I mean? So like shoot for the stars.
There you go.
Okay. I have 2 more intro questions.
Okay.
First one. Between your experiences of F1 and IndyCar races as like a in-person spectator, what are we rocking with the most?
That's such a hard question.
It is such a hard question.
Yeah,
And I think we might have I think we might have different opinions on this.
We might a little bit. I'm gonna let you go first.
I think as an in-person spectator, I 100% enjoy IndyCar more.
Okay.
For a lot of different reasons, but the biggest is just the accessibility difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also just how you can get like so much more up close and personal with IndyCar that like I don't know. I like it better. I feel like we know more people in the IndyCar community, so like it's more exciting to go there and like see the connections we have. I don't know. I think right now, but it goes back and forth a lot too. Because like I like left Coda and I was like, that was the best weekend of my life. And then I like same thing I said before I left Nashville, and the same thing when I left Miami. Like it just I think it changes often.
I feel like fan side of things, it's definitely IndyCar, and like the experiences I've had there are great. I personally like go back and forth between like what I'm more interested in the moment. So like I feel like over the summer I was like IndyCar, and then right now I'm like, oh, I'm so Formula One. So I feel like I don't know. Right now it's me. I feel like I like have a bias right now because I'm so into Formula One right now. But I would definitely say like fan side of things, even outside of like buying like a paddock pass ticket, like just in general, it's a lot more like accessible and more things to do.
Yeah. For those of you guys that may be listening that don't listen to the Podium Pop podcast, I love your guys' like post race, like giving the full rundown on like your race weekend experience. And I love the big wrap up that you guys did of all of the IndyCar races that you guys went to. Little things that I think are so important that we don't talk about enough. The bathroom situation.
Oh, yeah.
What are we rocking with? I need to know if it's porta potties. I need to prep myself for that.
Absolutely.
Hot dog quality. That's important stuff.
Very important.
So highly recommend you guys listen if you're thinking about going to your first IndyCar race. Last one. What would it take to get you into NASCAR?
Honestly, not much. I think the hardest thing about like starting, because right now I feel like I'm, even before the whole PH announcement, I feel like I've been trying to get more into like IMSA and like the endurance racing, trying to prepare for the Daytona 24. But
absolutely,
it's just the biggest like hurdle I think to get past in any like motorsport like difference is like the little tiny differences that like make a big impact, but you just don't know what's going on. Like with NASCAR, like the whole like point system is kind of confusing to me, and like the rules, and I also don't get like the like when they bump each other, like is that even allowed? I don't know. I think that's like, if I figured that out, like I'm sure if I like came and like sat down and watched a NASCAR race like next to you and MJ, and I can be like, what's happening now? Well, what's happening there?
Yeah.
Why did that happen? I think I could probably like, I'd watch one and probably be into it.
I feel like I experienced a similar thing getting into IndyCar from F1. I remember like the first oval race I watched, I realized I had no idea what the frick was going on with oval strategy. Mm-hmm. Like I literally was like, how does anybody know where anybody is on anything? Thoughts? Yeah. Because I was like, these people are like pitting at the most random times. I have no idea who's actually leading. There's like 6 different strategies going on here. It's so much more complex than like F1 strategy, where it's like, we all gonna come in just one time and get the same tires we always do. And like, I think for NASCAR, it was a similar thing of like finding out how to follow the race. Oh, I love this Dina in the back. She is just so everything to me. I'm so sorry. I'm trying
from the bookshelves.
Yeah. I will say, if you came and sat and watched a NASCAR race next to me and MJ, I don't know how much more you would get from it other than us.
We're kind of just vibing.
Yeah. I would just be like, where's Tyler Reddick? Is he winning or losing? Sick.
Yeah. I think another thing that I really liked, and which because we went from Formula One to IndyCar, and I think I was like into IndyCar, but once I like started like getting to know the drivers outside of the car and like learning their personalities and being like learning the lore behind them, being like, oh my gosh, like Will Power bumped into Scotty Mack and all of this stuff, and I knew like the history or that kind of thing. It made me more interested in the racing, and it's maybe just because I love drama. I don't know, but it works.
It's fair. Yeah, there has to be like personal buy-in for me into the drivers. Like if it's just like 20 bajillion cars out on track and like no real like care in the world from me of who wins and who loses, it's like, why am I even tuning in? Which is why I think that like the TV show-ify versions of these races, like through Drive to Survive, Full Speed, or like 100 Days to Indy, even though it's like probably the weakest of them, like I do think that that's obviously working to get new fans in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here I am. Here you guys are. We have a fucking podcast. And I started with Drive to Survive too. So like clearly it does something. But as far as NASCAR drivers, I mean, I don't know, me and MJ differ on what personalities to buy into in some ways, but really, you rock with Denny, you rock with Tyler Reddick, and you rock with Bubba, you're good. Just root for them.
I do like Bubba. There's a couple of interviews that I have seen. I like Bubba. I don't know much about Denny Hamlin. Sorry.
I love Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him from since when I was like 12, but I'll still. That's my NASCAR driver.
That's enough.
I never even heard of the Tyler dude that you were talking about.
He's so sick.
Tyler dude.
Yeah, we'll talk offline.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'll fill you in. Don't worry. So I also thought we could talk a little bit about current events.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know, it's good to bounce some ideas off of y'all. So if you covered any of this in the Podium Pop episode, let us know so we can tell people to go listen over there as well. But here's just a random one that I have that me and MJ were talking about a couple days ago. Facial hair on drivers. Where are we sitting with this? I think that I thought about this when I saw Lando with the goatee thing he's been rocking all year. We recently had Ryan Blaney in NASCAR, prominent beard wearer, pro beard wearer. And there's just been some funky facial hair this year in motorsports. We had Carlos with the porn stash in Italy. And I think this is good because you guys are McLaren girlies. What are we thinking about the facial hair?
I think a strong personal opinion.
Oh, I would love to hear it.
I think this just comes from outside of motorsports as well. I like Lando's whatever he has going on. I feel like if we can't grow a full beard, my personal opinion, a little bit on the chin is like, let's get rid of that.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was feeling.
Yeah.
I think that I originally was agreeing with you, but then I saw a picture of Lando without the facial hair, like from last year, and I was like, he looks like a child. I am, again, in my personal life, a big fan of facial hair on men, so I am a big supporter of facial hair on race car drivers. Sorry, Roger. And I think...
Well, can we give the T on that real quick? What is the full T on that? They can't have any?
Roger Penske doesn't allow their drivers to have beards, and I think even some of the crew isn't allowed to have beards. Like, it has to be, like, pretty close shaved. But Ryan Blaney gets a pass during playoffs.
Oh. Wait,
so,
why?
Because Ryan Blaney's he's like, hey, dude, I'm gonna grow the beard. And I think it's just kind of like a mutual thing between Roger and Ryan. I don't know why they let him do it, but I'm glad they do.
He's rising up against Penske.
Yeah, he's doing it for all of us.
Someone has to
Amen.
step up for the other guys. But no, I think like I've seen like a lot of like edits of like Max with some facial hair or Oscar with some facial hair. I think it would do a lot of the drivers a lot of good to look into it. Maybe they can try it out over winter break, see how it goes. Now again, maybe in Lando's situation, if you can't grow it, you can't grow it. But if you can, You should.
I think that there's only like one person in F1 who has good facial hair.
Carlos.
And well, he's like clean shaven most of the time. So I don't like count him as a facial hair guy. I think that mustache was a fun bit.
Okay, that's so
and
fair.
I love a bit.
No,
Oh my god, Charles has weird facial hair too.
I
He has
like his though.
goatee.
I like his.
I don't like it.
I like it because it's what Lando's trying to do.
It is.
Right, yeah, okay. If we're gonna like rank it. But the best facial hair is Kevin Magnussen.
Yeah. And it works.
Yeah. Bleach blonde baddie.
That actually it does work.
He's got that beard bleached and toned. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to K-Mag. Okay, that was not actually current events. I just wanted to get your thoughts. We were like bouncing ideas, and I was like, we got to sound off with the Podium Pop girls. Did you guys talk at all about the F1 officials leaving?
We were yeah. There's so much. Like, it was the rumors, and we were like, we don't even know what's for sure confirmed. Like, we know the Liberty Media CEO.
Yeah,
he's confirmed.
Goner. There's rumors of the F1 CEO potentially leaving to do MotoGP.
Yes, but everyone is saying that that's like a complete rumor. Of course, like where there's smoke, there's fire. So it could be like that is happening, and they didn't want it to come out yet. But there's actively
the
denying.
FIA. The FIA had a compliance officer get fired who actually was the one who compiled the report into allegations that Ben Salam interfered in the operations of 2 races last season. Wow. He actively was like going against the FIA leadership and saying like there was maybe some fishy stuff going on here, and he was the one who compiled the compliance report. They also fired a racing director from FIA.
Yeah, they're bringing in the guy from F2 and F3, right? What's his name?
And then names not my strongest point. And then we had the Grand Prix Drivers Association Instagram post that we will see come to fruition in person in Las Vegas, like the first race since they came out with this.
Yeah.
So I want to hear your guys' wildest conspiracy of what you think is going on.
I don't. There's so much. There's too much going on. Actually,
there is so much going on.
We did talk a little bit about it on our podcast.
Okay, so can you say that was probably your guys' real answer? So you can say whatever the wildest answer you can think of is here. Yeah.
My craziest conspiracy theory is that Sebastian Vettel is leading the charge in this, and they're all secretly scared of Sebastian Vettel.
And who wouldn't be?
Oh, they're scared of him.
I would be scared. I'd be scared of Sebastian Vettel.
Actually, I feel like he did, though, like, with, like, the posts and all the GPDA stuff, I feel like there's a chance he had, like, a heavy influence in it.
I think he clearly, because he was, like, one of the first followers of the account. I think he probably was one of the people that was like, you should do this publicly.
Yeah.
Because he also was, like, really pro, like, publicly shitting on the FIA for like the underwear and the jewelry thing. Yeah. He's like, let's air it out.
Yeah.
Which everybody say thank you, Sebastian. That's so sick that we're not doing it behind closed doors. I think that there is maybe something wild, maybe even criminal that has occurred here. Because why are all these like super high up people leaving across Liberty Media, F1, and FIA?
Like they're trying to jump ship before everything comes out.
Wild. Yeah, I mean, I would. If there was like something like criminal happening, I'd be like, peace, I gotta go. This is no longer my issue.
It's giving the Red Bull employees leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know about the person who got fired who's coming out against Ben.
The compliance.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you're firing compliance people, you're in a tough spot. That's like the most glaringly obvious person to fire if you've actually fucked up big time.
Yeah.
Man.
Does anybody know how the FIA election situation works? Like Ben Salam?
Do they have like a Well, I do wonder if like maybe there's something, I don't know, like maybe if there's something with going along with the GPDA and they're like fed up enough to like file a claim with something, and maybe that's what's causing all of the higher ups to leave. Like there were like major safety concerns in Brazil that I think if they were angry enough and if they did try to like stop the race, or maybe behind the scenes like the teams were like, hey, we should stop the race, and they still didn't, then that's probably like that could be like a lawsuit for endangerment or I don't know. So maybe something like that. I don't know if that would be big enough for all of these people to be leaving, though. Unless it's not, I mean, but it's probably also not the first time it's happened.
Right. I mean, I think it would have to be, there's something a brewing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I want to know.
Probably money.
Everybody, well, yeah, I think that's like what the Drivers Association post was like.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. You want to fine us? Open up the books. Let us know what's,
and when they open
what's
up
the money
books,
going
what
towards.
we're going to find.
And
They want the Reynolds pamphlet.
it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, period.
MJ said, yep, exactly.
Yeah. For our audio listeners, MJ grunted and then nodded. So I'm going to allow everybody the opportunity to put out their prediction in a percentage form on how likely they think it is that MBS is gone by Abu Dhabi. And if you are correct, you get bragging rights because you said it into a recorded mic. And so then you can go back to this and be like, see, everybody? So I'll start. I think it is a 60% chance MBS is confirmed to be done in his role by Abu Dhabi. Maybe that doesn't mean, maybe he finishes up with Abu Dhabi and then they're like, but just so you guys know, this is his last race as FIA president. 60% that happens.
How are you scoring this?
Vibes.
Vibes only.
Yeah, I mean, because like, what the fuck do I know? Nothing. That's why I have a podcast. MJ, would you like to sign language your answer, or do you want to like say it?
I think it's much lower than that.
Really?
I'm saying like 15. Him. It doesn't matter. I don't think that's ever really mattered. I'm saying like 15% he's out.
I would say 40%. What are you thinking?
I was thinking lower than 60 and lower than 40. I'm going to say 25.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, what I've done essentially is like, if it happens,
you win.
I automatically win.
Yeah, you Price is righted it.
Yeah. So, yeah, you could say I predict the future.
There's some part.
I don't know. There's something up with him. There's something up with him. And the drivers, some of their comments were very shady of like you should watch your tone about how you talk about us behind closed doors. I'm like, oh, I think that there is maybe more than just like cussing going on.
Yeah.
Well, and then also like Formula One, like if the fact that all of the drivers like made a public statement together about that is like a really big impact, because like what would happen if all 20 drivers were like, we're not racing in Abu Dhabi?
I was just about to bring this up.
Especially if the championship is decided by, in Las Vegas or maybe in Qatar. Mm-hmm. If like the championship is pretty much decided and a lot of the teams are like, okay, like nothing we do in the next few races are really going to matter, I would not be surprised if they were like, okay, like you need to do something or we're just not going to race. And like, what would they do? It'd be crazy. All the reserve drivers coming in.
I was gonna say, I feel like the drivers protest. Like I feel it in the air.
Something's brewing.
Yeah, something's brewing. I think it honestly does seem to come back to. I mean, because you have the Liberty Media, you have the F1, and you have the FIA. They're clearly all going through something. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, it comes back to MBS every time. Like, whether it's like something like the Andretti situation or like the cussing situation or when MBS was trying to influence Max to support Christian Horner and the Red Bull drama, the posting with Prince Andrew and also Trump on Instagram. He just has like a lot of things, and then like lots of people leaving all of a sudden. I think the Drivers Association is like the canary in the coal mine, and there's something happening because they are usually the most restricted on what they can say or do. And I'm assuming they have to have some sort of support from their teams in some capacity. Even though it is the Drivers Association, I could understand if like a team was like, hey, can we play it chill a little bit and maybe not put our name on the statement?
I do think
they must have some support to do that.
I can guess that some teams are definitely more supportive than others.
Yeah.
And like you could probably like catch the vibe of the ones that would be more or less like I feel like Mercedes would be really supportive of this, where like Ferrari would maybe be a little more cautious. Same with like Red Bull, maybe. I think they would be cautious.
Maybe.
But I think maybe the lower teams are a little bit more would be or should be more supportive of it, because really they don't got much to lose. Like Red Bull and Ferrari and McLaren have a lot to lose if they go against the FIA or any of them, but like Haas and like Williams, and they're like, oh well.
Sure, go for it. I also like, this isn't the FIA, I think that this is F1.
Yeah.
But I was surprised how many people were vocal about their dislike for the F1 75 event. Some of the smaller teams were really pissed off. I think like Ferrari has already announced that they're doing their own event separate from it, which I can imagine F1 would not be happy with, because it's like in a way just kind of delegitimizing the event as like the livery reveal. I'm sure other teams will follow suit because they have their own sponsors and their own people to make happy with like a livery event. I find it just very interesting that we're at a point where I kind of feel like everybody is just a bit grumpy with just about every aspect of F1 leadership.
Yeah.
And imagine how grumpy they're going to be after a triple header where they have to go from Las Vegas to Qatar in a week.
How? Like, who thought that was a good idea?
This is the second year in a row that they've done that, and they're doing it again next year.
Yeah.
And every driver last year was like, this is actually hell on our bodies, hell on our mechanics, hell on our teams.
Like, George,
I just feel like people are going to get...
And also, like, to go from... which I know they pushed it back. Obviously, Qatar was, like, a really, like, hot race last year, and they did push it back. It's still going to be pretty hot there. But Las Vegas, going to where they're racing at night, where it's supposed to be cold out, and they're out in the cold at night, and they're switching it up and going straight to Qatar where it's going to be hot, is just like it cannot be good for the body.
No, absolutely not.
Along with the jet lag and everything else that goes along with it.
I feel like we're going to have some real grumpy drivers. And when they get grumpy, who knows? They might just be like, you know what, fuck it. I'm down for a strike.
Yeah,
Let's go. That sounds sick. Let's just fuck this. Let's just sit out. Another current events, Monaco is staying, and it is, however, being moved, so it will no longer be in conflict with Indy 500. I don't know if we'll see any F1 drivers try the Indy 500. I don't know. Fernando has kind of said, I think he's like done trying. Maybe some newer, like rookies or somebody might be like, fuck it, I want to do that. But there's also like a chance that we'll start seeing some F1 drivers attend as spectators. Do you think that the like IndyCar F1 crossovers are going to start happening now?
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
I definitely could.
We did talk about this on ours as well, and we covered a lot in this.
Say some crazy shit here. Say some crazy shit here.
Well, so do we know if the Indy 500 is gonna coincide with a different race, or is it like there's no race that weekend at all?
I think MJ, go for it.
Well, it'll probably be the Coke 600 that day.
Okay,
True.
right.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be.
Another F1
I don't think
race.
It's gonna be another F1 race.
But
it's gonna be like.
I do think that we may see. I would love to see an F1 driver participate in it. I do think it would be one of the younger guys. But I mean, I would love it.
Oh, I would love it.
But apparently a lot of people are upset about it.
Why?
Well, I saw just from like motorsport like perspective, people are like, they ruined the best day of the year with the Monaco, then the 500, then the Coke 600. But I'm personally really excited. I randomly last year like did a whole bunch of research into the Triple Crown, which I know it's not like technically anything official, but I'm excited for that because I would love to see somebody again try for the Triple Crown.
Yeah. I think that it also, like, last year, it set F1 up for failure because the Monaco Grand Prix is, como se dice, the worst race ever.
It's boring.
It's boring.
And
Qualifying
the Indy
is what you wanna watch,
500,
but
the Indy 500 is like the best Indy race.
Yeah.
And then you're just setting them up for all the comparisons of like the amount of overtakes between the two races and like the switch up amongst like the starting grid to the finishers was just, it was dog walking F1. It was making it look like it was a go-kart race. It was like, this is the pinnacle of motorsports, more like the trash of motorsports. And so like, I think that they just didn't want the smoke. But I think it would be really cool to see. I do wonder though, like we have obvious crossover between like McLaren IndyCar, McLaren F1. That would make sense to put a McLaren F1 driver. However, if they're in any sort of championship contention, there's no way that they would like risk that in any way. And there's a chance that Oscar and Lando are in championship contention May of next year. Is there any other relationships between F1 teams and IndyCar teams? I kind of can't think of any off the top of my head.
I think so.
Seems how F1 hates America.
yeah.
Right.
Would do the 500 first, Lando or Oscar?
Oscar.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think Oscar.
Yeah.
I don't think Lando wants this.
No, Lando doesn't want it.
Lando's not interested, I don't think.
No, he's like I am doing fairly well at the thing I'm doing fairly well at right now, and I am not trying to embarrass myself. If there's even a risk that he doesn't place like top 10, he's not doing it.
Well, I think also like some of the drivers are there for the driving, and they definitely like respect, I guess, like motorsport in general, but you can tell like other ones like Max and like Oscar are like a little more like of like the motorsport like nerds, and I think it would feel more special to them to be like, oh my gosh, I get to do the Indy 500 as in like a legacy type way, where like other drivers like Lando like is just like, okay, like I just want to go fast, you know, which I can respect. Yeah. But I think some of them would feel more special to him. And I think Oscar is definitely like grouped into that would be excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like who else has that vibe.
Kevin Magnussen.
I could actually
He's had his IndyCar moment.
Yeah, I could see Kevin Magnussen doing it. Well,
yeah, it has to be somebody that we think could like also like be a good plug and play driver, because it is an oval. It needs to be somebody that like is okay with maybe not knowing exactly what they're doing, but confident enough in their driving ability that they think they could just plug in. That's why people like Fernando and Max and Lewis, like they're like the people that like they don't need a practice session. They just go out and put a qualifying lap in, and it's like stellar. That's the type of driver that would have to do it, I feel like.
yeah.
I think given maybe a few more years, but I feel like maybe Franco.
I was thinking Franco too.
I was just about to
because
say,
the way he
Franco
just jumped
has
into the
that
Formula
vibe.
1 car and like automatically was like, yeah, I can make it work. I think he would do great, actually.
I think he would do good.
Wait, can I tell you guys about an insane quote Franco gave the other day in an interview?
Yeah.
Oh.
They were asking him about like his future teammate, and he was like, I don't really care who my future teammate is. All I know is that I would be trying to beat them. It could be Max Verstappen or it could be Zhou. I still want to beat them. And I was like, why did Zhou have to catch a stray like that? Like, it's clear he was like, he was trying to give, like, it almost felt like he was trying to be like, whether it's the fastest person or the slowest person, whether it's Max or Zhou. And I'm like, sir, he's not even gonna be there next year. Why'd you have to do him like that? That's so brutal. But Franco just, I don't think he gives a shit. He's just like, somebody in the comments was like, they tried to media train him. I'm so happy to see it doesn't work.
He's like clawing out of the enclosure of media training.
Yeah. Anything you guys think Franco's up to? Do you guys think he's cooking up a plan at all to get a seat?
I said this last week on our episode, but I think if he gets an like a Red Bull or an RB seat, I think it's gonna be Liam's.
And take Liam's spot.
Yeah, I know that's very bold, but
Bold statement.
I mean, I've seen them fuck over people worse than that.
Yeah.
So, like,
Well,
maybe.
it really comes down to, like, sponsorships. Like, that's what Red Bull cares about.
He has so
and
many.
they've proven that with, you know, keeping Checo around as they have. But it's hard to know because I don't fully understand, like, the sponsorships. Like, does Liam have the stuff to back, like, the sponsorships to back up his... If he's not, like, absolutely winning every single, like, beating his teammate every single time, like, he basically has to be perfect. Versus, like, Yuki and Checo and Max have a little bit more leeway to make those mistakes because they have the sponsors to back it up. So I do think it's, like, unfair, but I do think that because of that, Liam would be the most at risk for that.
I can't think of any Liam-specific sponsorships that he brings. They absolutely hate Yuki, though. So who knows?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think that I actually think it needs to be like a college course on marketing or something. How Checo has concreted himself. Over the last few weeks, we've seen Kit Kat become the official chocolate of F1.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Patron is now like the official tequila of F1. Basically, all of his individual sponsors are now becoming F1 sponsors.
Yeah.
He's really digging his heels in. He's like,
I'm like, oh, he's making a mark.
He's gonna make it,
sure.
and he said, you know what? If you're letting go of me, I'm gonna make it hurt, and he is.
Yeah. I also saw that the Mexico Grand Prix for 2025 has already sold out.
I saw that. Damn. That's insane.
Damn. So, shout out Liam. Have so much fun, bud. I don't know how much longer you got. You better go fast.
Well, because like Yuki is being held on to because of Honda, but Honda's moving. So maybe, when is that move happening? In 26?
But here's the thing is that, like, they have to, whoever they put up against Yuki, they do seem to care a little bit about them beating him. Because with Daniel Ricciardo, I'm under the impression they told him, all you have to do is beat Yuki. And then we can, like, have a case to the public that you should get the spot. If, like, Liam cannot make a case to the public that he is unequivocally better than Yuki, then, like, I don't understand. They can't really fire Yuki. They've already like done enough to piss people off this year. Maybe they don't care, but I feel like that would be pushing it. Like, people would, I think, maybe be like, oh, so this is a big joke. You guys are a big joke team.
Well,
MJ would be outside being like, this is not the pinnacle of racing. We should all start watching NASCAR.
NASCAR.
She seemed a little unsure about that last statement for our audio listeners. Speak, Valentino, speak. Do you have anything to say, MJ?
I literally don't think I can.
oh,
Love that. We've stunned her to silence with our
Bible
podcast ability. Okay, well, our silent host here, MJ, has prepared a game that she unfortunately will not be able to lead us through, but I will try to do it justice. We are going to present you with 2 driver pairings, and you're going to tell us who you think would win in a head-to-head, same machinery race. And we'll see if you can catch the trend on these driver pairings, okay? Alex Palou and Lewis Hamilton versus Scott Dixon and Max Verstappen. And you can discuss. This is not like rapid fire. You guys can discuss.
I think it's really... Actually, I feel pretty confident that I think Max and Scott would win.
Okay.
I was going to say
And why is that?
Alex and Lewis would win.
Oh, okay. So fight amongst yourselves, but into the fight, please.
Here's my thinking is that more often Scott and Alex are fighting each other near the top than I think Lewis and Max are fighting each other near the top. And that is the only thing that I considered. And why I went with Scott and Max.
Okay.
I feel like I kind of went on vibes alone, but or I don't know, maybe I was thinking a lot more of like the history of Lewis and just the I know Scott also has been in the game for a while, but I was thinking of how long like Lewis has been in the game.
I think also. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I know. I feel like Alex is also very good, like recovery wise.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him like
so is Max.
Okay, yeah, you're so right. Sure.
No, this is good. This is good.
I think
we'll
also
clip this fighting.
Max and Scott are more consistent than Alex and Lewis would be.
Even in the same car? Same machinery?
I think so.
Okay.
I do.
I feel like I am going to play this game as well. And I think I would go Dixon and Max because I think I feel pretty... I almost feel indifferent between Dixon and Plo because I'm just like, you know what? Maybe it depends on the day, whatever. One of them will win, the other one won't. I think I'm more certain of Max beating Lewis at this present moment.
That's so fair.
MJ?
I would almost go... Sorry.
You could... Yeah. Just, you can, keep it as simple as you need.
Polo Hamilton, I would probably choose. Even though I love Scott Dixon, you can never count him out. But just, like, the recovery drives of Alex Polo are insane. Like, he was in, like, one of... Like, he had all of the issues this year, and he still...
Yeah.
Popped the fuck off.
I mean, Max literally just went from P17 to P1, so...
But it was in the rain.
It was in the rain, that's true.
And that was
But
one
in
race.
Milwaukee...
How many times did we see Alex do it this season, though?
But how many times has Max had to do it? Not many times, because he's always near the top anyways.
Well, but remember the race? What was it, Milwaukee, where Alex Palou started 5 laps down and ended in the top 10?
No, that was super impressive. That was so
That's
impressive.
crazy.
That's fake numbers. Like, that's insane.
It was crazy.
Yeah. A shout out Laps Down. Name of the podcast, by the way. The podcast you're listening to. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's called Laps Down. Okay. Our next driver pairing. Colin Herta and Oscar Piastri versus Pato O'Ward and Charles Leclerc.
Okay, wait. Let me think. Colton.
Yeah, girl. Take your time.
That's so hard for me because
I feel like this is hard, too. I'm going to say that to all of them.
while I am a huge McLaren, because McLaren's in both of them, I also love Colton Herta. And I think that Colton Herta is someone that has the potential to be so good, and he just gets so damn unlucky all the time. But I gotta
the only person that could rival his unluckiness is Charles Leclerc.
Literally. Oh no.
You guys get it.
The pit stop drama that would happen amongst these two teams. There'd be a loose wheel. One of them would be on wets for some reason. Who knows?
Chaos. We can't have them in the same racing series. Yeah. That's why Colton can't join Formula One. Is because of that.
Yeah, that's why they put a firm stop to Andretti. They were like, it's far too much. Okay.
I'm gonna make you.
Don't dodge the question. Colin Herta, Oscar Piastri versus Pato O'Ward and Charles Leclerc.
Because I know who I would want to win, but who I think would win.
I'm going to say Charles and Pato.
Yeah, I think they would win.
I think so.
I think it comes down to consistency.
I would agree with consistency.
Well, Oscar, I would say that Pato and Charles this year was more consistent than Colton was. I do think Oscar's pretty consistent again this year, but equal machinery, I don't know. This is so hard.
I started thinking of like all the saves Pato had this year that he recovered so well from. And I think that's just what made me pick them.
Yeah, I would want Colton and Oscar to win. I actually would love that driver pairing. That would be a very special driver pairing to me. But I think that Charles is really, like, he's so good. And again, I think he doesn't always get to show his full potential of racing, same as Colton. Mm-hmm. Again, mainly just because of the bad luck or the car that he has. But I do think that Charles and Pato would win.
I think it's like initially I was thinking Colton and Piastri, but I think it's because I was thinking of Charles in like the Ferrari sense of it, where it's like, just, Ferrari just be like doing shit. But I think if you took him out of a Ferrari, I think right now, Pato and Leclerc, but give it like 2 or 3 years.
Oh, yes.
I think we would totally switch that around. I could see Oscar and Colton both in their championship era in the next couple years.
And I think that it would happen around the same time for him, even though Colton's a little bit older than Oscar, only by a couple years. I think that they would be winning, like the same, like again, like give it 2-3 years, but at the same time, they're both gonna hit it.
They're coming into their own kind of at the same time.
And I will
and
love
I'm here
that
for
year.
it.
It's gonna be the best year of my life.
Wait, could you imagine if we have like a year where they both win?
Wow. And then we go back and we clip this podcast and we're like, we told you all.
That's why, honestly, it's good we record all of our wonderful ideas so that we can clip it later and tell everyone we were right.
Yep.
We have Scotty Mack and Alex Albon versus Will Power and Franco Colapinto. I can start if you guys want, because this one's so easy for me. It is so obviously Will Power and Franco Colapinto.
I think so.
They have just something that I just like. I feel very I feel like I'm picturing the driver pairing in my head, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna bank on those two. They have like a little bit of a chaos in their eyes, and I think that this setup of F1 IndyCar drivers versing each other, I think it would just ignite the chaos even more. They'd be like, yeah, fuck it, let's just go be the best casual. I think they would beat everybody else. I'm just kidding, I'm not gonna go that crazy, but like,
I agree. Actually, I do agree.
So too.
I think that Will Power and Franco, I think that they both would be hungrier than Alex and Scotty Mack for different reasons. I think Will, because for opposite reasons. Will being wanting to prove that he is still able to make those great racing moves and win and all that stuff, where Franco wants to prove himself. And because I don't want to say Will's at the end of his career, but he's getting older and Franco's so young that, like, I think
you're sunsetting his career. You're like, guys, we do have to come to terms with he can't race forever.
But I think that they, by like sheer force alone, I think that they would win.
I feel like I immediately wanted to pick Alex and Scotty Mack, but then I feel like just this year Alex has shown a little bit of inconsistency compared to other years, and it like paired up between Franco and Will. I feel like they would definitely pull it away and win.
Can I prompt you guys a little bit about Alex Albon's inconsistency here? I think like in Brazil, I kind of got this like feeling from Williams in general that I wonder if it'll change. There's so few on options that it almost feels like they could destroy their car in every practice, qualifying, and race for the rest of the year, and it's like, what are you guys gonna do?
Yeah.
It's so weird because like when like Logan was on the team, there was so much consequence to anything he did because they felt like they had other options. But like, love him, Franco do be crashing that car quite a bit in Brazil. Fair enough, it was like his first race in the rain. Alex is like, I can't even remember the last time Alex like finished a race. It's been a while, and I feel like there's no consequence to any of it. Like he could do as bad as he needed to.
It does feel a little like there's like a double standard, and I think it's because Alex crashed less than Logan. They're like, Logan's the problem, and then now that Logan's gone and like they're having just as many problems, it almost is like, okay, it wasn't Logan the whole time, and I think they owe him a freaking apology. That's beside the point. But I do think that right now, James Vowles realizes that like he can't. I hope he learned his lesson with Logan. Like, he can't always put the blame on the driver because it obviously isn't the driver. But then again, like, he probably didn't because he's an asshole.
have we considered that the Williams car actually is undrivable? Like, we, for a little bit there, were like, Franco's driving it just fine. And then I was kind of like, maybe the car is a little undrivable. I don't know.
No, I feel like it is. I feel like it's kind of a miracle that Franco has come in this good, and I feel like it just goes to show how good of a driver he is.
Yeah.
There's only so many times, like, lightning can strike in the same place, and maybe he was, like, you know, there was, like, some sort of beginner magic luck, like what I'm hoping I get when we go to Vegas and I try to play, like, fucking blackjack for the first time or something. Who knows?
I'd love to.
That's, like, the type of luck that I'm hoping is cooking up. But that can only happen so many times, and it looks like it can happen about twice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I do think also, like, looking at how Alex has been the last couple of races, because a lot of people are like, oh, like, Alex was never that good of a driver. We just compared him to Logan, and now that we're comparing him to Franco. But I do think it is the opposite. I don't think Alex has changed too much. I mean, he has the last couple of races. He's gotten really unlucky, and I do think that it could be a little bit of the pressure he's putting on himself. But I think it's more so, like, Franco just got lucky rather than Alex getting unlucky. If that makes sense.
And maybe, like, I the reason why I say, too, like, it's, like, of no consequence is, like, Alex's reactions. Of course, he seems to be a very calm, cool, and collected guy. I'm not expecting him to, like, punch the steering wheel or, like, act like a fool when he crashes. But it seems like this is, like, the reaction of Williams in general. When Alex or Franco crashes, it's a whole lot of,
what can we do?
What are we gonna do? And for the audio listeners, that was me shrugging my shoulders in a who gives a fuck manner. Right. Yeah. You know, good thing I explained it, or else you guys would be missing the key info.
They'd be like, we don't understand. We don't get it.
But, like, do you guys, like, I feel like it's like when he crashes or DNFs, it's just like, what am I to do?
I think that
I don't know, get mad.
I think Williams has given up, and that's why that they are like the way that they are. I think that they have completely. They're like, there's no way, like, we are doing anything with this season. Let's just try to get, like, these two cars, which you would think maybe they want to get them through without crashing. But, like, at this point, they're honestly like, whatever happens, happens. Yeah. Like, get experience, go out, and, you know, because there's no wins for them, like, on the table, really. Yeah.
Watch Williams podium incoming in Vegas.
That would be really insane.
Hey, we saw an Alpine podium.
Yeah.
Crazier things have occurred. Okay, yeah, no, this is good. I just wanted to sound off on other people because I've been thinking about this and I was like, it's a little insane how many times, like, Williams in general has been just, what are you to do about, like, catastrophic failures of their car?
It's wild.
I mean, oh my God, I could talk about this all day, but how many other teams would just be like, about, like, one of their drivers DNFing more often than not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and again, because they didn't.
I'm so fucked, y'all.
They didn't act like that with Logan at all.
No.
It was the end of the world every time he, you know, popped a tire. So
MJ is loving this conversation, I feel like, in the corner. I cannot wait for Carlos Sainz to go to this team. I'm going to have such a blast.
Yeah,
it's going to be so interesting. And I think it's going to be really interesting for the full season to see Alex against someone that James Vowles sees as close competition. I don't want to say that Logan wasn't close competition, Alex, because I'll never talk ill about Logan Sargent. But James obviously holds Carlos in a really high regard, and James sees Carlos as, like, the person that's going to save this team. And I'm interested, because if Alex does better than Carlos, how is James going to take that? But if Carlos does better than Alex, how is James going to take that? I'm interested. Williams is going to be one, I think, to watch, not because they're going to be doing anything fantastic with points.
It's going to be messy.
But it's going to be messy, and I think it's going to set the tone for their supposed golden year of 2026, that's all they talk about these days. But
yeah. Drive to Survive producers, get in that garage.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This transitions wonderfully into our last driver pairing. We have Kirkwood and Sargent versus Fittipaldi and Russell. For the audio listeners, they're stunned into silence.
I didn't even hear the other one. Who is Pietro with?
Russell.
Oh. Okay, wait.
Oh my
gosh.
Russell.
Wait, those are like all my favorite drivers.
Yeah, we saved the just absolute meltdown for the last one.
You couldn't have let me see Logan's test before asking me this question.
Wait, did they film those? This is like my first testing round. Do we get to ever see those?
Sometimes you can watch them on like the live timing.
Yeah.
But they don't film them.
Yeah.
Or like if somebody's there and they'll post like a clip of
Yeah,
it.
you can go in person.
We got reporters on the ground, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Somebody get out there.
Yeah, because Enzo will be there
gotta
too
get it
for Aaron
filmed.
McLaren as well.
Mm.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, and it's not gonna be a shock to anyone, but I have some data to back it up. Okay, and by data I
Back
mean
your
my
fave.
opinion, which is truth.
Good enough for
That's
me.
fact.
Good enough for this pod.
I think that on equal machinery, I think that George and Pietro would win. And I say that because George, I think, is a fantastic race car driver, and he shows that all the time. He's gotten, wins this year. He's gotten more than one win, right?
Well, he got disqualified, so
One.
Well, he
Yeah.
won. Because he got
It's a
disqualified
win
for a
in his
stupid
heart.
reason. He won. He has multiple wins.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time, I think Pietro is a fantastic race car driver. He was given not a great car in IndyCar, and also like he does so good in other racing series that people don't necessarily know about. And so I would consider him a really good race car driver. He just hasn't really been able to show that in IndyCar. And not that Logan, because I think Logan's in the same boat, he's given a crappy car, but we haven't seen what Logan can do in other racing series. So there's not as much data to back it up. So because of that, and I would put like Kyle and George, again, I'm assuming that's where you're going, Kyle and George kind of similar, Pietro and Logan kind of similar, but because I think Pietro we have more data around, that's why I'm going with them. Sorry, MJ.
No, you're good.
We did enough hyping up of Logan Sargent in the pod. I think it all
It's
evens out.
Pietro, I mean.
I had a feeling when I made that.
I also agree with you. And my biggest reasoning is I feel like George would do a little bit better than Kyle would. I don't know why.
Okay.
But I feel like George would.
Yeah.
You guys have convinced me. I'll make it easy and go with the same
Oh,
one.
perfect.
What about you, MJ? Do you want to be different?
No, I would probably say the same thing.
Pietro.
But yeah, who knows? We could see this like Logan test, and maybe we'll start hearing rumors around the block that he is actually like Senna for IndyCar. Who knows?
Actually, I would love that though. Honestly, I would.
This man could be like a second coming of like open wheel racing god tier. Who
That
knows?
would feel so satisfying though. I'm sure, like not just
very
for him, but,
validating.
like, for everyone would probably be like, yeah, fuck you, James Vowles. Like,
Yeah, I think for the plot, it'd be
be
super
so
good.
good.
Like, I would love that. So, yeah, maybe I would be nervous if I was the Meyer-Shank drivers. If, like, they'd be like, oh, fuck, okay, tone it down a little, buddy.
they're like, love you, bro,
I
but
just
like, chill out a little.
Chill. So, just as a final wrap-up, I think this is a wonderful time for us to reaffirm that we will be seeing you guys in person in just a few days' time.
It's
We
so
are all
crazy.
going to Vegas. It blows my mind. It's my first time ever going to any race in person for any motorsport series. So I am so nervous I could shit my pants. I have no idea what to expect. And so we're doing it as a team, and I'm glad to have some wonderful race season veterans showing me around. And also, it's my first time in Vegas, so
My
maybe
first
we'll
time in
get into
Vegas,
something
too.
crazy.
Guys, I love
Oh my God.
Vegas. It's so fun.
MJ's on the mend so that she can speak to us in Vegas.
A lot of emergency.
Eat some honey. That's what I always do.
Eat it straight from the bottle. And Are you guys doing a race wrap up, do you think, after Vegas?
Yeah, we plan to, although we always tell people that on the weekends that we attend, it's going to be like 1 to 2 days later than normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we will
And normally
be.
you guys are Monday.
Yeah, normally we post on Monday, but this one will probably come like next Tuesday.
Where can they find you?
We are on Spotify and YouTube. Podium Pop
Okay.
on both.
You guys seem like primarily YouTube. I feel like when I looked at your guys' like YouTube, your guys' YouTube is popping. You guys have like the cute thumbnails.
Oh,
you guys
I
got
work
the
really hard on the
subscribers.
thumbnails.
Linda's so good on those.
I work really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
shout out
post
on
on
the
we definitely
thumbnails.
get more views on YouTube than we do on Spotify.
Yeah.
Because they can see your friendly faces. What about TikTok, Instagram? Are you guys at Podium Pop on all of
Yeah, we're
those?
Podium Pop and everything.
Yep.
Okay.
Threads.
Makes it easy.
Blue.
So be sure to give them a follow.
We should make one though.
We gotta get
You all have a Blue Skies,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, we do. It's a lot of fun. I love Blue Sky. Shout out Blue Sky. Can I just say that? Blue Sky is so much fun. The like motorsport fans there like don't wish death on anybody.
It's amazing.
Which is like
Over there.
super
Great vibes over there.
So unusual. They just are normal and adult about things. It's so crazy. That might change though. Who knows? Somebody on Blue Sky, I have to say, just like as a little anecdote, they set my boy up for failure. They like put something of like a quote somebody said of like Carlos will win a world championship before Charles will, and I'm like, guys, we were just getting past the death threats,
Fine.
and now you guys are starting it over here. Yeah. So keep an eye out for the Podium Pop Blue Sky incoming, hopefully. I think that's it. Do you have anything to say, MJ, before I do our normal wrap up?
No.
So good. I've actually loved like just having like your nods of approval and everything when I am saying things that I feel are incorrect. It's good reaffirming. We are at Lapsdown Pod on Instagram and TikTok. We're also on YouTube, and be sure to check out Podium Pop and Lapsdown every Monday. Just add us and like a little cue us up, you know, one right after the other. And we will be sure to post plenty of Vegas shenanigans, so you'll definitely want to follow us before then. And I think that's everything.
Thanks for having us.
Good. Yeah. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Say bye, MJ.
Goodbye.
His name was Joey. Okay, we'll cut it.